I'm Mrs. Ananth Jothi. I'm working in Assistant Professor of Botany in Standard Firework Rajaratnam College, Sivakasi. So, in this class, we are going to see about a cell. First of all, what is cell? So, we know something about cell. So, cell, it is a basic unit of living organism. So, the basic unit of living organism in the sense, so all the organisms is made up of cell. So, simply we can compare a cell with a egg. Okay, that's why I gave an image like a egg. So, a single egg have what are all the components? Yeah, we know egg white and egg yolk. Likewise, the cell also have the nucleus and the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is the egg white and the nucleus is the egg yolk. Okay, and then so here we are going to see about prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. So what is prokaryote and what is eukaryote? So we can divide the cell based on the presence of nucleus. Okay, so some cells have the nucleus and some cells have absence of nucleus. So what are the cells have the nucleus, that are the cells called eukaryotic, and what are the cells lack the nucleus, that cells are called prokaryotic. Okay, yeah, here I gave the image boiled egg. So this egg have the egg yolk. So it represent the presence of nucleus. So in the eukaryotic cells also have a definite shape of nucleus. Okay. Now we are going to see about the components of the cell. So cells have a cell wall. Okay, so cell wall in the sense the cells have a outer layer. For example, in our human body we have a skin. So what is the main function of the skin? So to protect our body. Likewise, the cell wall also the protector of the cell. Okay, next one is cell membrane. When we broke the egg, we can see this thin layer of cell wall, that is called a cell membrane or plasma membrane. In the cell also have the cell membrane or plasma membrane. It is the gate of the cell. So we can say the cell membrane as a gate of the cell. Why it is called a gate of the cell? Because it only enter the components inside the cell. Okay, that's why this is called a gate of the cell. Next one is cytoplasm. So already I told you cytoplasm is simply represent the egg white. So the cytoplasm is the only moving part of a cell. And then protoplasm. So protoplasm indicate a cell without cell wall. Okay, so the protoplasm in the sense it represent the nucleus and the cytoplasm. And then nucleoplasm. So nucleoplasm is simply represent the complete egg yolk. Okay, so the complete egg yolk is represent the nucleoplasm. So what are all the components present inside the nucleus is called nucleoplasm. Nucleoplasm is cytoplasm is protoplasm, and except nucleus the egg white only is the cytoplasm. So the next we are going to see about some of the components like mitochondria. So mitochondria, it is a powerhouse of a cell. Why it is called a powerhouse of a cell means because it produces energy inside the cell. So what are all the components it can produce means it produces ATP. ATP in the sense it represents adenosine triphosphate. So the adenosine triphosphate is giving a energy to the cells. Okay. Next one is endoplasmic reticulum. It is also one of the cell component. The endoplasmic reticulum is have two. We can differentiate the endoplasmic reticulum into two types. That is rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So the rough endoplasmic reticulum have the ribosomes on its surface. That's why it is look like rough. So the main function of the ribosome is to synthesize a protein, and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum it just produce steroid and fat. Okay. Next one is lysosome. It is the important part of a cell. The lysosome is called as suicide bag of a cell. So when the cell get matured, it just enter into a lysosome. And the next one is centriole. So the centriole is used for the separation of chromosomes in the cell division. So when the organism have the growth, the cell want to divide. So the centriole is the main, centriole plays the main role of cell division, because it just separate the chromosome and it binds with the chromatids and it just separate the chromosome. The next one is the chloroplast. Already we hear the chloroplast in the class of 6th standard, because the green plants. So the green plants, it's look like green color, the green color due to the presence of green color pigment. So the chloroplast only giving the green color to the plants. Okay, so not only the chloroplast giving the color, and also it is also used for the preparation of food. So how the plants prepare their food? Already we know about photosynthesis. So in the presence of sunlight, carbon dioxide, water and chloroplast, the plant prepare their own food. So the chloroplast is the main part of a plant, but it is absent in animal cells. Like human, we cannot prepare their own food, because we depend our food for plants and animals. Okay. So next one is the vacuole. The chloroplast is called a food factory of a cell, because it only produces a food in the cells. That's why this is called food factory of a cell. And next one is vacuole. So the vacuole is the storage tank. Why this is called a storage tank? Because it can store water, food and some chemicals inside. Okay. Next, we can see the difference between prokaryote and eukaryote. Already I told you what are the cells have nucleus, that is called eukaryote, and what are the cells absence of nucleus is called prokaryote. So that's why I gave this image to differentiate the prokaryote and eukaryote. And so it is the organism whose lack a nucleus and other cell organelles. So the prokaryote is not only lack of nucleus, and also it lose some other organelles. Okay. So for example, bacteria and amoeba, these are all the unicellular organisms. It doesn't have any definite nucleus. Okay. That's why it comes under prokaryote. And eukaryote, so these are all the complex cells characterized by the presence of a membrane bound nucleus. Already I told you the components of eukaryote. So we can see, we have seen some cell organelles. So that all the organelles we can see in the eukaryotic cell. Okay. So why I gave the membrane bound organelles? So what is the meaning of membrane bound? So all the cell organelles is just bound with some membrane. Okay. That's why this is called membrane bound organelle. We can simply say the example of eukaryotic like plants and humans. Okay. Why the plants and humans are eukaryotic? Because they have well definite nucleus. That's why we are called a eukaryotic. And we can divide the cells into unicellular and multicellular also. So what are the cells have a single cell, and all the cells can do the single function. Okay. So all the functions is done by a single cell is called unicellular organism. But the humans, for example the human, we are all the multicellular organism. Why the human is called a multicellular organism? Because we have cells, and group of cells is formed a tissues, and group of tissues formed a organ, and group of organ formed a organ system, and finally we are a complete organism. So we have different organ system for doing different work in our body. For example, our eyes is used to see, and our mouth is used to speak, and our teeth is used to bite the food, and our alimentary canal is used to digest the food, and our heart is used to pump the blood. So likewise we have all the separate organ systems. So that's why the human is coming under multicellular organism and also eukaryote. Okay. So some of the a few difference between prokaryote and eukaryote I have given. So the size also varies for prokaryote and eukaryote, and the centriole and nucleus and some of the few organelles are present in eukaryote and absent in prokaryote. So these are all the major difference between prokaryote and eukaryote, and we have seen some cellular components and the special name of the cellular components. That's all. Thank you.